Survival horror is here to stay and is alive and well in the Callisto Protocol, a game that many are calling a likely contender for this year's Game of the Year. A brand new game by a brand new studio helmed by some of the most talented developers in the video game industry, the Callisto Protocol is destined not to disappoint as it puts its bloody mark on the storied survival horror genre. A few months ago, I released an overview of what to expect from this anticipated return to horror, so if you're interested in the game's story, setting, and introduction to gameplay, head on over to my initial preview of the game, of which is linked in the description and pinned in the comments. In this video, we are looking specifically at the gameplay and how this game continues to expand with more systems, more gore, and more survival horror awesomeness the closer we get to its release date in early December of this year. This dead moon orbiting Jupiter might just be one of the most uninviting places we'll be taken to in this genre, which makes it all the more enticing to explore the horrors we expect to face within. With that being said, join me as we look at 3 game-changing features that will make the Callisto Protocol one of the greatest survival horror games to grace the modern generation. In no particular order, let's take a look at the game's stealth. Our prisoner in command and star of the game, Jacob Lee, is able to silently crouch along the frigid wastes of Callisto and within the confines of the prison colony Black Iron to quietly dispose of his victims with stealth assassinations. Now, stealth gameplay in survival horror is nothing new to the genre, in the sense that one would want to hide to remain undetected from enemies who, more often than not, clearly outnumber the player. But when introduced in more of an action-based survival horror game where a variety of weapons can be used to lay waste to this alien invasion, new gameplay possibilities are now introduced to the player. The Callisto Protocol is seen heavily compared to Dead Space, and for good reason. The game is directed by none other than Glenn Schofield, who co-created the Dead Space series, and the game's tone and combat show striking similarities. Dead Space did not have any stealth mechanic in the game, as that series was all about strategic dismemberment and fighting off hordes of atrocities as you navigated the game's claustrophobic corridors. This time around, great care has been given to allow the players to silently approach enemies for a quick kill from behind, further giving the player more choice as to how he or she wants to approach any given combat encounter. Because resources and ammo are scarce, stealth gameplay instantly becomes an incredibly viable option in order to save what preciously scarce resources we are likely to have. We can see in the new Gamescom trailer for the game that Jacob is able to use his knife to silently and efficiently take out these creatures, and makes me believe that there could be many combat situations in the game in which the player can effectively take out an entire room of these enemies in stealth. The extent of which kinds of enemies can be killed while utilizing stealth remains to be seen, but the addition of stealth to this genre of survival horror is a much welcomed and very much needed feature. Job well done here, and I can't wait to see the extent of how fleshed out this stealth mechanic is once the game hits store shelves.
At rebirth.
Monsters are an essential part of any horror game, as these are the enemies that are staring you down with their brutish faces and emitting hideous noises, while you contemplate the choice to happily turn off the game and head to bed with nightmare fuel running through your veins. Just like in Dead Space, the Callisto Protocol allows players to shoot and hack off an enemy's limbs to alter their behavior and attacks. Shooting an enemy's head off may prevent them from seeing, but their furious wailing and clawing away into the space around them makes them especially dangerous. Shooting off legs may immobilize them, but don't count them out as they can still lay the smack down while literally, down. The Callisto Protocol has another feature up its sleeve, and that is the tentacle mechanic on these mutating enemies. These tentacles are essential to shoot off early. In fact, as soon as the player sees them growing off these creatures, it's best to take care of the tentacles right away, because if left unattended, the enemy will mutate into a larger, more menacing creature that will more than happily make your life way more difficult and horrifying. This new ticking time bomb mechanic is sure to add a lot of extemporaneous decision making as to what to prioritize in any given combat situation. Should I take care of the bigger, more menacing threat from this guy over here, or should I focus on this enemy over here and take off its tentacles to curb the possibility of a more vicious mutant taking over in its stead? This brilliant new mechanic is sure to make each encounter fresh and interesting, and I'm curious to see how far this mechanic goes and whether it's just central to more of the grunt type enemies in the game, or if the bigger foes or even bosses employ this mechanic as well. Truly can't wait to see this mechanic at play when I get my hands on this game later this year. So what do you think of these features so far in the Callisto Protocol? Are you just as excited to play this game as I am? Let me know your thoughts in the comments, and go ahead and stealth kill the like button and shoot the tentacles off this red subscribe button over here to show your support to the channel. I will continue to put out more videos surrounding the Callisto Protocol and other big games in the industry, so make sure to stay subscribed so you can view the next video as soon as it's available. Thank you for all the awesome support, good people. You rock. The final gameplay feature we should all be looking forward to in the Callisto Protocol is none other than the game's variety of weapons that will be at your disposal. When the game launches, expect to wield a variety of firearms, all of which can be upgraded via a 3D printer to modify and enhance each weapon's attributes. In addition to the firearms, melee combat is receiving a lot of attention in the Callisto Protocol, with the player able to use hand-to-hand combat, curb stomps, and employ the use of a baton. Hopefully, we will see more melee weapons introduced in the game when the game launches this December, but the developers have explicitly stated that the game tries to encourage about a 50-50 split of gunplay and melee combat to get through the game's encounters. As awesome as the firearms sound with a robust upgrading system being implemented for these weapons, I'm curious to see just how viable the melee will be when we get our hands on the game. If ammo in the Callisto Protocol truly is as scarce as we've seen in the gameplay trailers, I'm sure these melee mechanics will prove essential in our time on Jupiter's sinister moon. We also see what looks like a return to the telekinesis ability from Dead Space in the form of the grip, which has the same effect of hurtling objects and enemies around the play space. The grip, used by the prison wardens to contain Black Iron's prisoners, is a tool you can use to quickly dispatch enemies into deadly traps or hurtle resources toward the player for quick consumption. We know you cannot use the grip infinitely, as there is a mechanic in which you may have finite uses or have a cooldown to it. Regardless, it's awesome to see such an iconic ability make its way into the Callisto Protocol, and complements the variety of firearm and melee options considerably. The Callisto Protocol is turning out to be one of the most anticipated games of the year, and continues to look better and better with each new drop of info. With its full implementation of stealth mechanics, diverse and emergent enemy design with the tentacle mechanic, and with a variety of firearms, melee options, and the return of a telekinesis-like mechanic, the Callisto Protocol makes solid strides to push the envelope of survival horror games. With that said, what do you think of my list of features that will elevate the Callisto Protocol as one of the high watermarks of survival horror for this generation? What are you most looking forward to in this upcoming game? Let me know your thoughts in the comments, and remember to like the video and subscribe to the channel for more videos surrounding the Callisto Protocol in the future. I make previews, reviews, tips and tricks videos, and more surrounding all the latest and greatest games in the industry, so if that interests you, I'd love to have you stick around. Thanks again for all the support, and I'll see you fresh faces in the next video. Peace.